Just pause on that thought for a moment. How many times in life have we hurt ourselves, not because of what others said, but because of what we could not stop ourselves from saying? In life, silence is not weakness. Silence is a shield. Most of the battles we fight are not outside, but inside our own hearts. Our anger, our ego, our impatience. These are the forces that push us to speak when silence would have saved us. The words we release cannot be taken back. They cut deeper than any sword. Silence, on the other hand, heals. It protects your peace, your dignity, and your energy. Think about it. Every time someone provokes you, they are inviting you into a battle. If you enter, you lose your calm. If you stay silent, you win without even fighting. Silence is not about being passive. It is about being powerful enough to choose peace over reaction. The strongest person in the room is not the one who shouts the loudest, but the one who can stay calm when everything around is trying to disturb them. Protect yourself by staying silent when your emotions are louder than your wisdom. Protect yourself by staying silent when your words can hurt more than they can help. Protect yourself by staying silent when people are determined to misunderstand you. Your silence is not ignorance, it is intelligence. It is not weakness, it is strength. Remember, the tree that bears fruit doesn't make noise, but its silence feeds countless lives. In the same way, your silence will feed your growth, your peace, and your wisdom. Don't waste your energy on battles that don't deserve you. Keep your focus on building yourself, not breaking down in arguments. So the next time you feel the urge to answer, to argue, to prove yourself, pause. Breathe, smile, and protect yourself with the greatest armor you have: silence. Silence is a shield, not weakness. When we hear this line, at first it may sound simple, almost too simple, but if you sit with it for a while, you'll see how deep it truly is. All of us have gone through moments in life when we reacted quickly, spoke harshly, or let our emotions carry our words away. And later, when the heat of that moment passed, we regretted what we said. We realized that our words did not protect us. They exposed us. They made us vulnerable, open to criticism, and often created wounds that would take years to heal. This is why silence is powerful. When you hold back from speaking unnecessarily, you are not suppressing yourself. You are protecting yourself. There is a difference. Suppression comes from fear, but silence comes from strength. Suppression is weakness because it means you are too afraid to express, but silence is wisdom because it means you have the courage to choose peace over conflict. When you stay silent in moments of anger, you are shielding your inner calm from being shattered. When you stay silent in moments of gossip, you are protecting your dignity from being stained. When you stay silent in moments of provocation, you are safeguarding your energy from being wasted. Think about the shield of a warrior. The warrior does not carry a shield because he is weak. He carries it because he knows the world will throw arrows, spears, and blows at him. The shield is his protection. Silence functions exactly the same way in our daily lives. The world throws insults, misunderstandings, and provocations at us. If we respond to everything, we bleed energy and lose focus. But if we know when to lift the shield of silence, nothing can penetrate our peace. It's very important to understand that silence does not mean you have no answer. Silence means you have chosen not to waste your answer. The greatest strength you can show in an argument is not to defeat the other person with words, but to defeat your own ego that wants to reply. Your silence becomes your guard. In fact, your silence often makes the other person rethink. Words fuel fire, but silence extinguishes it. History and wisdom are full of examples where silence became the highest form of strength. The Buddha remained silent when he was insulted. Many saints and sages stayed silent when people misunderstood them. Why? Because they knew that their peace was more valuable than proving their point. They understood that protecting themselves was not about fighting battles outside, but protecting the sanctuary within. Let's bring this to everyday life. Imagine a heated discussion at work. A colleague says something unfair, something that triggers your pride. Your natural impulse is to respond, to justify, to prove them wrong. But what happens if you speak immediately, driven by anger? Your words might come out sharp, your tone might sound arrogant, and the result could be damaged relationships that are very hard to repair. Now imagine the same situation, but you choose silence. You simply listen, you pause, you breathe, and you say nothing. In that silence, two things happen. First, you protect yourself from saying something you'll regret. And second, the other person is forced to reflect on their own words without your reaction to distract them. That's the shield of silence in action. There are times when people may think you are weak for staying silent. They may misinterpret your calmness as inability to respond. But always remember, a lion does not roar at every barking dog. Strength is measured not by how loudly you shout, but by how wisely you choose your battles. Silence, in many cases, is the roar of wisdom. It is your way of saying, I am not wasting myself on this. Silence also protects your energy. Our mind is like a battery. Every argument, every heated conversation, every unnecessary debate drains that battery. When you learn the art of staying silent, you conserve energy for things that actually matter. You don't waste your power proving yourself to people who are determined not to understand you. You don't lose yourself trying to win battles that don't deserve your time. Silence shields you from this energy leak. One of the most beautiful qualities of silence is that it gives space for reflection. When you are silent, you are not empty. You are gathering your strength. You are processing your thoughts. You are choosing your response carefully instead of being carried away by impulse. In this way, silence protects you from your own mistakes. Most of the harm we cause ourselves is not from others, but from the words we speak without thinking. When you stay silent, you give yourself the gift of time, the time to decide whether speaking is worth it or not. Silence also protects your relationships. Words can damage trust in a way that silence never will. Sometimes the best thing you can do for someone you love is not to respond when they are angry, not to fight back when they are frustrated, but to let silence hold the space until calmness returns. Silence, in such moments, becomes the shield that protects not just you, but also the bond you share. Even in spiritual life, silence is considered one of the greatest practices. Saints and monks often observe periods of silence because they understand its power. Silence protects the mind from distraction, it protects the heart from conflict, and it protects the soul from unnecessary noise. When you are silent, you listen better, to others, to yourself, and to the whispers of life that are drowned in constant chatter. So when we say silence is a shield, it does not mean you should never speak. Speech is powerful too, but speech is a sword. It cuts, it divides, it attacks. Silence is the shield that defends, that saves, that preserves. And just like a wise warrior knows when to use the sword and when to use the shield, a wise person knows when to speak and when to stay silent. Think of your life like a journey. On this path, there will be many stones thrown at you. Insults, judgments, rejections, misunderstandings. If you stop at every stone, if you pick it up and throw it back, you will never move forward. But if you shield yourself with silence and keep walking, you will reach your destination without wasting your strength. That is why silence is not weakness. It is the wisdom of moving forward without getting stuck. Let's reflect once more. The shield of silence does not mean cowardice, it means maturity. It does not mean ignorance, it means intelligence. It does not mean suppression, it means self-mastery. And self-mastery is the greatest protection you can ever give yourself. So the next time you feel triggered, remember your shield. The next time you are provoked, hold your shield. The next time you feel the urge to fight with words, ask yourself, will my silence protect me more than my speech? Most of the time, the answer will be yes. And when you learn to protect yourself with silence, you are not just saving yourself in that moment. You are building a life of peace, dignity, and strength. Silence is not the absence of words. Silence is the presence of wisdom. And wisdom is the strongest shield you will ever carry. Choose peace over reaction. This is one of the hardest lessons to practice in life, yet it is also one of the most rewarding. Everyday situations test us. People say things that sting, circumstances unfold that frustrate us, and life throws unexpected challenges in our path. Our natural instinct in such moments is to react. We want to defend ourselves, prove ourselves, or sometimes even attack back. But here lies the truth: reaction often steals our peace, while choosing peace gives us power. When we react instantly, we are driven by emotions, anger, hurt, ego, fear. These emotions cloud our judgment. They make us say things we regret later. They push us into decisions we wish we had not taken, and they damage relationships that matter to us. But when we pause, when we breathe, and when we choose peace over reaction, we step into a space of wisdom. We are no longer slaves to the moment. We become masters of it. Think about this. Reaction is about them, but peace is about you. If someone provokes you and you react, they control you. They pull your strings, and you dance to their tune. But if you remain peaceful, you show that your inner world is not dictated by their behavior. This is true freedom. Peace is not passive, it is power. It is the strength to decide that your happiness and calm are too precious to be disturbed by negativity. Life gives us countless examples. Imagine being in traffic and someone cuts you off. Your first instinct might be to honk, yell, or show anger. But what happens if you choose peace? You let it go. You keep driving. In that choice, you protect your mental energy for the rest of the day. Or picture a family argument where someone blames you unfairly. Reaction will escalate the fight, but peace will end it. Choosing peace does not mean you are wrong. It means you value harmony more than ego battles. In every argument, there are two fires: the fire of one person's anger and the fire of the other person's response. When both fires meet, there is destruction. But if one person chooses peace, the fire has no fuel to grow. Peace extinguishes what reaction would only inflame. That is why choosing peace is not weakness, it is wisdom. Even spiritually, peace is considered the highest victory. When you react, you win over the other person temporarily, but you lose yourself internally. When you choose peace, you might not win the argument, but you win the bigger battle, the battle over your own mind. And when you conquer your own mind, no external force can defeat you. There is also a deep psychology behind this. When we react, we release stress hormones in the body. Our heart rate increases, our blood pressure rises, our mind becomes restless. But when we choose peace, we signal to the body that we are safe, that we are in control. Our nervous system calms, our clarity improves, and we preserve our health. In a very real sense, choosing peace protects not only our relationships but also our body. But let us be clear, choosing peace does not mean allowing injustice. It does not mean tolerating abuse or wrongdoing. It means responding with wisdom instead of reacting with impulse. Sometimes peace means walking away. Sometimes peace means setting boundaries. Sometimes peace means speaking firmly, but without anger. The difference is not in what you do, but in how you do it. Reaction is reckless, peace is conscious. Look at the great leaders and saints of history. Mahatma Gandhi chose peace over reaction, and his peaceful resistance shook an empire. Jesus chose peace even in the face of cruelty, teaching forgiveness over vengeance. The Buddha chose peace in silence when insulted, showing that the greatest strength lies not in striking back, but in staying centered. They remind us that peace is not the absence of power, it is the highest expression of it. Now bring this wisdom into your own life. The next time someone tries to push your buttons, ask yourself, do I want to give them control over me, or do I want to stay in control of myself? The moment you ask this, you shift from reaction to choice. And once you realize you have a choice, you will almost always choose peace. Peace is your natural state. Reaction is learned, triggered by ego and conditioning. When you return to peace, you return to who you truly are. You are not born to argue, fight, or waste your energy proving yourself to others. You are born to live in harmony, to grow, to create, to love. Reaction pulls you away from your purpose. Peace keeps you aligned with it. So remember this truth: anyone can react, but only the strong can remain peaceful. Anyone can shout, but only the wise can stay calm. Anyone can fight back, but only the enlightened can forgive and move forward. Choosing peace over reaction is not about losing the battle. It is about winning the war within. And every time you win that war, you grow stronger, calmer, and freer. Silence nurtures growth. This is one of the most profound truths we often overlook in a noisy world. Everywhere we go, we are surrounded by voices, opinions, judgments, arguments, and distractions. And in the middle of all this, we forget that real growth, real strength, and real wisdom happen not in the noise, but in silence. Silence is not emptiness. It is nourishment. It is the quiet soil in which the seeds of your potential take root and flourish. Look at nature. The tallest trees, the deepest forests, the most beautiful flowers, all of them grow in silence. They don't announce themselves every day. They don't shout about their progress. Yet they grow steadily, consistently, and powerfully. The mango tree does not make noise while producing fruit, but one day it becomes so abundant that everyone benefits from it. In the same way, when you embrace silence in your life, you create the environment for your inner growth. You may not see immediate results, others may not notice your progress, but silently, within you, strength is being built, wisdom is being cultivated, and peace is taking root. The problem is that most people confuse growth with noise. We think we have to prove ourselves every day, argue back to every criticism, show the world how much we are doing. But the truth is, real growth needs no announcement. Just as a seed under the soil does not scream about its potential, your silence gives you the space to grow without interference. Too much noise, whether from others or from your own restless mind, distracts you from what truly matters. Silence, however, grounds you. It protects your energy, focuses your attention, and allows your true self to emerge. Silence is also the space where reflection happens. When you are constantly reacting, constantly talking, constantly explaining, you have no time to listen to yourself, to others, or to life. But when you choose silence, you create room for awareness. You begin to notice your patterns, your thoughts, your mistakes, your strengths. And awareness is the first step toward growth. Without silence, there is no reflection, and without reflection, there is no improvement. Think about the times in your life when you truly grew. It was not in moments of shouting, but in moments of listening. Not when you were busy proving, but when you were quietly learning. Growth comes from absorbing wisdom, not broadcasting ego. And silence is the bridge that takes you from ego to wisdom. Silence also nurtures emotional growth. Often, when someone hurts us, our instinct is to fight back with words. But silence teaches us patience. It teaches us to sit with our feelings, to understand them, and to rise above them instead of being ruled by them. Silence gives your heart the space to heal. It prevents you from adding more pain through unnecessary arguments. And in that healing, you grow stronger. In relationships too, silence can be more powerful than words. When a loved one is upset, your silence can be more comforting than 1,000 explanations. When tensions rise, your silence can dissolve the conflict faster than your reaction ever could. Growth in relationships does not come from winning arguments, but from understanding and peace. And silence often creates the room for that peace to enter. Spiritually, silence is considered sacred. The greatest sages, monks, and saints spent long periods in silence because they knew it nurtured the deepest growth. In silence, they connected with themselves, with nature, with God. In silence, they heard the truths that noise hides. Silence is not just the absence of sound, it is the presence of clarity. And clarity is the foundation of growth. There is also a psychological dimension to this. Our brains are constantly bombarded with information. We live in an age of notifications, constant chatter, endless content. But the brain needs silence to process, to organize, to create new connections. Scientific studies have even shown that silence helps regenerate brain cells, improves memory, and enhances creativity. That means silence does not just nurture spiritual growth. It literally nurtures the growth of your mind. But perhaps the most beautiful part of silence is that it teaches humility. In silence, you don't need to prove yourself. You don't need to fight for validation. You simply grow for the sake of growing, not for the sake of being seen. And when you finally bloom, your growth speaks louder than any words ever could. A flower does not need to explain its fragrance, it simply spreads it. In the same way, your silent growth will one day inspire others without you having to say a single word. So how do we practice this silence in daily life? It doesn't mean we never speak. It means we learn the art of choosing when to speak and when to remain silent. It means creating moments in the day where you turn off the noise and just sit with yourself. It means resisting the urge to react to every criticism